What is going on tonight, Summoners? So we finally got it. The monster balancing and improvements pre-notice. I think before we get into this, I have not read it yet. I've been staying at a chat to quickly come and do this for the first time with you guys. But before we get into this, I think this has got to be one of the most highly anticipated balance patches that I can remember. There's just things have gotten so strong, so powerful. The power creep has really crept up in the game, and people are really asking for things to kind of be toned down. Some of these things we've been asking to be toned down for probably a couple of years now. Some of them are a little more recent because they're newer things. So we will see what we get here, you guys. I must preface this by saying my expectations are certainly higher than they have ever been. That we are going to see some major changes here, hopefully for the better. So let's get right into it. I can already see that right off the top, we've got Beast Riders. So I'm pretty happy with this already to see that Beast Riders are getting touched on. I mean, there's not much they can do to buff Beast Riders at this point, right? So what do we got here? We've got Beast Rider All Rider Passive. Beneficial harmful effects will be remained when the rider dismounts the beast. Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. That is probably one of the biggest things I think people have been asking for with them, and I think that is super important. And I'm glad to see that it's beneficial and harmful effects. It's not just harmful effects, which is usually how people worded it. But I think if you're going to have one, you got to have the other. So I'm happy to see it done in this way. We're off to a good start. Let's hope that's not the best news on this one. All right, Beast Rider Water, start of attacking. Ignore the enemy's defense by 35%, knock down to 25% for each beneficial effect the beast removed. Okay, so a nice little bit of a damage reduction on the start of attacking for Barbara. So that is also nice because she is insanely strong. I've seen her one-shot tanky wind units like Tyrannuses when she gets crits on them. It's pretty gross. Wind Beast Rider, Gigantic Roar. Effect changed. If the enemy's attack speed is slower than yours, sets the enemy's attack bar to 0. Now decreases the enemy's attack bar by 75%. Okay, so instead of having 0% attack bar, you get 25% attack bar. Sorry. You have 25% or less attack bar, because it depends on what your attack bar is at the time this skill is used. If you're at 75% or less when this skill is used, then you're gonna lose all your attack bars. So still a little bit, it's toned down, and I like this approach. Okay, these are nerfs, but I don't think that from what we've read here for the Beast Riders that these are game-changing nerfs. I don't think this is where you see Beast Riders being used right now, and where the teams that they really thrive in. I don't think you're going to see them taken out of there or suddenly things reworked because of these changes. This is the right way to do it. If they are still too strong, I sincerely hope they will be touched again, but I don't want to go from one end of the spectrum to the other. I don't want to take them from being the strongest unit in the meta to all of a sudden you just can't bring them into any match at all. That is not cool. You do not want to gut them. You tone them down a little bit at a time. If they need more, you take a little more off. If they're sitting in a good place after a little bit, cool. That's where we leave them. It was the same thing with Daphnis. You know, he got several buffs before he was good enough. Now he can be very strong, but he has to pass a lot of checks and balances to be really strong now. Dark Ninja Han. How many of you guys have been asking for a Han buff? Let's see what we got. So, simple solution. Attacks 3 times is going to be now 4 times. So it gains an additional attack, but the total inflicted damage does not change. So he's gaining an additional hit, but his damage shouldn't change at all. Increases the attack bar by 30% to 25% for each attack that lands as a critical hit. So they reduce the amount per hit that the attack bar increases, but because he gains the extra hit, instead of gaining 90% attack bar on a full critical spectrum, he would now gain 100% attack bar on a full critical spectrum. So actually a buff there. Also added an effect, weakens the defense for 2 turns with a 50% chance. Is that going to make him viable? Is that going to make him super strong now? I don't know, but he can essentially give himself an additional turn. Think Diana's second skill in human form, where she basically acquires, or Shiho's second skill, or Okeanos' third skill, how they can kind of gain attack bar by landing critical hits or by landing effects. So similar idea, he can basically give himself an additional turn, but also has a good chance to land a defense break for 2 turns as well, so he can set himself up to nuke with another skill really well. All right, Dark Sky Dancer. All right, Mi Yang also being touched here. Or sorry, Wool Young. Wool Young is her name, also being touched here. Very cool. I see some other really good things coming up here too, you guys. I don't want to jump ahead, but all right, Dark, a Muse, which is an awakened skill. So skill changed. So previously it was recovers the allies and increases the attack power for 3 turns. The recovery power is in proportion to the attack power. Okay, pretty basic. We're kind of familiar with that kind of skill healing mechanic. Change 2 recovers the HP of all allies by 20% of your max HP and increases their attack power for 2 turns, so down from 3. In addition, increases the attack bar of all allies with full HP by 15%. I like this. I actually like this one. The biggest thing to me is recovering 20% HP of your max HP. So it's not 20% based on there. So if you've got her built with a high amount of HP, like 40,000 HP, and you've got a dinky little unit like a Garo or even a Leica that doesn't have super high HP, 20% of your max might be 80, 90% of their max HP that you can heal just like that. So that ability for it to scale well with squishier damage dealing units is incredibly valuable, and the fact that it provides the attack power buff is going to make her a great support unit in those types of teams. Plus you might get a little attack bar as well. I mean, yeah, by 15%. So it's not a huge attack bar boost, but it's a little something, right? Light Monkey King. Okay, a few LD5s getting touched on here, and a few that were in need of it. You know, these LD Nat 5s, you don't really see them used anywhere ever. So, well done. Light Monkey King, Giant Net. Effect added after attacking decreases the enemy's attack bar by 50% per harmful effect granted on the enemy. I would have to double check here, but I'm pretty sure Giant Net actually applies several negative effects as well. So I think that is very, very strong now, because that's essentially pushes all your enemy's attack bars down to 0. We'll have to see how reliable that pushback is, if it goes through accuracy resistance or what other factors might come into play there, but I do like that. All right, Water Monkey King, Shiho. I don't think Shiho needed a buff. I don't know that he needed a nerf either. Alter Ego attack. Okay, so this is his 3rd skill. Attacks 4 times, now 6 times. The total inflicted damage increased by 2%. So not really a big damage increase, a very minor damage increase. But the fact that it hits 2 additional times now, that to me is kind of OP. I'm not gonna lie. That is kind of OP. I don't think Shiho needed a buff. I thought he was in a pretty good state where he was. I'll be curious to see, but I feel we might see a rise of Shiho yet again. He did kind of fall out of meta this season, but I don't think that's because he wasn't strong. I think that's just because there was other units that were really strong in the meta as well. All right, so Fire Monkey King, this guy definitely needed a buff. Fire Monkey Wand decreased the cooldown time from 1 turn by 1 turn from 4 to 3 turns. So the same thing was done with the Wind and with the Dark. So this is the 2nd skill that applies the defense break. actually really key, because I think after skill ups, this is now going to be 2 turns. So literally every other turn, they can apply a defense break now. So that is actually pretty nice. I think that's really big for the Wind Monkey King, especially, who is already a pretty decent unit in Guild Wars Siege. So I feel like that is a nice touch, nice buff. We'll see if it makes these units viable. Fire Monkey King, I still think that something with his passive needs to be addressed. The stacking resistance, just, it lacks flavor, man. Like, it doesn't, by the time he's at max stacks and he's got that bonus 50% resistance, it's probably too late. It's probably, and the way accuracy resistance works in this game anyway, it's like, why bother? Make it 100% or nothing at all. Because 50, you might as well be nothing at all. Unless you got a leader skill or you already have 50% on him. But I don't know if you really want to try to focus that in his runes. All right. Fire Demon. Flames of Hell increase the damage by 8%. Okay. Fire Demon definitely needs a buff. I don't think just flat increasing his damage was the way to do it. The mechanic of his third skill, with the damage leading to dots, it's broken. It does not work right. So simply increasing the damage, I don't think is going to have really any effect other than him doing more damage. He's not bad as an AoE cleave damage because he gains elemental advantage on that skill against everybody, but I don't think 8% more damage is really gonna, that's one maximum roll on a 6-star rune, you know, worth of attack power, worth of damage. I don't think that's a big deal, and just for that one skill. Water Sea Emperor, Poseidon here. Maelstrom effect added. The attack won't land as a glancing hit. Oh, please tell me you're putting this back to Leo then too. Please tell me you're doing this back to Leo too. That is huge. That is actually a really big buff, because that means he can't, that skill can't land as a glancing hit, so he has just as good a chance as landing the pushbacks and everything and getting a crit as he does on any element. So sorry, not crits, but landing negative effects. Beast Monk Wind. Ooh, very nice. We see something. We suspected something coming to Beast Monks because of how showcased they were in this latest transmog and everything going on with them lately. So we were right there. Beast Monk Wind, Trick of Wind, decreases the defense with a 50%, now 75% chance. So his third skill has a 75% chance to cast AoE defense break. Now, I don't have him, so I don't recall if that effect is increased even more through skill ups. But if it's increased by more in skill ups, that could be really good. Let's take a quick look here, you guys, and see, because I'm genuinely curious right now. Actually, I think I do have him on this account, but that is neither here nor there. Oh, so it's 100% activation now. It's 100% activation to land AoE defense break. That is a huge buff, you guys. That is actually really nice to see. Okay, that's going to add a lot more. Let's see if they touch on the leader skills, but that's typically down in a different section after skill balancing. So, another Beast Monk one, Fire, Wind, and Light. The Meditate skill, effect added. When using the skill, removes all harmful effects granted on yourself. Removes the harmful effects first and then recovers HP. So, in case you have heal block on you. But now, so this is something that people were really asking for, okay? Like, actually asking for a cleanse on Meditate. But it's interesting to note, it removes the ones granted on yourself. So you might heal an ally, or try to heal an ally, but you will only cleanse yourself. And I actually really like that, because to have it just be a targeted cleanse heal, we've already got those in Elucia, in Fran. You know, I don't think we need any more of that, especially from something as strong as a Beast Monk. So the fact that it just straight up removes its own harmful effects, I think that is really cool and a really nice way to do it. All right. Tessarion, Fire Ifrit next. Oh, I was not expecting to see this. Ancient Power passive. Effect added. Decreases the damage dealt from enemies with no harmful effects by 30%. Wait, what? Decreases the damage dealt from enemies with no harmful effects by 30%. So if somebody attacks him and they don't have a harmful effect on them, they do 30% less damage. Yet his whole purpose is to put Oblivion on units. Now, I mean, at the start of a battle or units that you're not focusing right away to try and disable their passives, absolutely, this could still be beneficial. But I feel like that's a really weird effect to add to him. Hopefully it'll help with his survivability. Hopefully, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to bring him into the meta, especially in an RTA. Possibly more use in Guild Wars Siege. You might see him used a little bit in RTA, as the Oblivion does counter Beast Riders hard, in the fact that when you kill a Beast Rider with Oblivion on it, it does not dismount, it just dies if it's still on the rider. So we'll see. We might see a little bit more use with the Fire Ifrit. That could be really cool. Water Joker. Oh boy. Surprise Box. Skill change to Surprise Bomb. Okay, so the Surprise Box was summons a Surprise Box that inflicts damage and grants one random harmful effect among stun, glancing hit, attack speed decrease to all enemies. Okay, now change to Surprise Bomb. Mounts a bomb on all enemies which detonates after 2 turns. The skill receives 50% additional accuracy. Water Joker just got actually pretty decent, I think. Combined with his passive revive ability, I think this guy could actually be a pretty solid bomber. That sounds like a lot of fun. Okay. I might actually have to build a water bomber now. Water Joker, rather. All right, Wind Mermaid, Crushed Hopes. 50% to now change to 80% chance to decrease the defense for 2 turns and to increase the skill cooldown time by 2 turns. I didn't realize she did skill cooldown, but okay. 80% chance, I'm presuming it goes up even more as you skill it up. So actually really cool. Let's see, we got some more mermaids going on here, and I'm kind of excited to see some of these. Water, Wind, Light, the Air Shield, so there's skill 2. Shield amount is proportionate to the level of the monster that uses the skill. Now, max HP of the monster that uses this skill. So the higher the max HP you build the unit on, the stronger that shield's gonna be. That is a huge buff. That is a huge, huge buff, because that shield is now gonna get thick, ladies and gentlemen. Fire Dark, grant life. Effect added, increases the attack bar of the revived ally target by 30%. So instead of just reviving them, you now give them an extra 30% attack bar. That's pretty dope. I like that one. I think Beta was already pretty strong unit. Now I think she's going to be even more viable in a lot of places. Kind of cool. Light Mermaid, Glaring Mist passive, HP recovery amount 10%, now 25%. Okay, so she has a passive ability whenever she takes a turn, she heals up things. So, gonna heal significantly more now. Significantly more. All right, snipers, you guys. Snipers are here. So, sniper, all of them, the accurate fire first skill, increased damage done by 10%. So an extra 10% damage on all skill ones for snipers. Hidden aim, fire, wind, and dark, decrease the cooldown time by 1 turn, down to 5 turns from 6. Okay, not bad. I still don't think hidden aim is an incredibly powerful skill. It's a difficult one to set up. It's similar to Skogul in that you use an ability and then it does damage after. So there's a turn in between where, you know, you can stun it, you can kill it, you can do things to it. So you really need to be able to protect the unit. And that's why, you know, against AI controlled opponents, that's not so difficult to do. So it can be really strong there. But in an RTA standpoint, probably still not going to find any viability for hidden aim. So fire, the Dead Eye passive, target change. So decreases a random target's defense for 1 turn. Decreases the defense of the enemy with the worst HP status for 1 turn. So the weakest enemy now gets their defense broken for 1 turn to, you know, help you enable killing it. I like that. I like that change rather than putting it on a unit like why I wouldn't hit that right now. This is like, okay, you need to you need to take the kill shot. I'm setting you up to take the kill shot. I like that. That is a good change. Wind Sniper, veteran passive, increases the attack bar by 100% now. Dark Sniper reloading effect added, increases the attack bar by 50% when you defeat an enemy. Okay, kind of cool. Kind of cool. I don't think these are going to be game-changing buffs for the snipers. You'll probably see more people building them as toys to bring into modes like Siege and Guild Wars, just to have fun with them because they might actually be viable and useful. But you're not going to see them, I don't think, on any sort of competitive scale. Fire Magic Knight, vengeful passive, deals 50%, now 100% more damage if the enemy has more HP than you. Greatly increased the value of attack speed that increases as your HP gets lower. Clearly, I didn't know what the Fire Magic Knight did, you guys. Clearly, I did not know what the Fire Magic Knight actually did. Let's see here. We got the water one, so let's go have a quick look, and we'll be able to find her probably a little bit quicker and easier that way. I'm hoping. Here she is. Then your attack speed increases, your HP gets lower, that was implied, and you deal 50% more damage if the enemy has more HP than you. So if the enemy has more HP than you, you do 100% more damage to them. And as your HP gets lower, your attack speed increases significantly more than it did previously. She will require testing to have to see how she is. I look to you, Mr. Bagelmon, because I know you have her built on one of your accounts somewhere. You will be playtesting with these units, I know it. Wind Magic Knight, Tempest Sword, decreases the enemy target's attack bar by 30% with each attack. Now is decreases the enemy target's attack bar by 30% with first and second attack, absorbs the attack bar of all enemies by 30% with the last attack. That is actually a huge change. That is actually a huge change. That's similar to Lapis and how she absorbs attack bar and HP on her third skill, except with this one, you're going to decrease your main targets by 60%, assuming you pass your accuracy resistance checks, of course. And then you'll absorb 30% from everybody. So if they've got 4 people on the team, that's 120% attack bar you're going to gain instantly like that, basically granting you the next turn, regardless of where everyone else is at. Actually really strong there. Okay, Dryads next. So Water Dryad, Tree of Loss. So the Water Dryad is actually pretty decent. She is another one of the 3 Oblivion units that we have in the game. So Tree of Loss effect added decreases the defense for 3 turns. Oh, we gotta go read this. Ooh, Gargoyles too. Gargoyles too, guys. All right. Dryad Wind, Thorn Tree passive. If you attack an enemy who already has continuous damage, additionally inflicts continuous damage for now 2 turns. So the dots that she was adding were previously 1-turn dots. Now they will be 2-turn dots. She is actually really, really good for like TOA hard or even Labyrinth Hell modes where you would have used, say, Water Homunculus to apply your dots. Wind Dryad can do that very well, and now that they're 2-turn dots, it just doubles the amount of damage that she is able to do, essentially, through the dots. I really want to go see the Water Dryads, Tree of Loss. So you guys, I'm sorry, I keep going out to the monster collection here. My knowledge of what all the individual monsters actually do is if I don't have it or haven't built it, I probably don't know. So Tree of Loss attacks an enemy to decrease the attack bar by 50% and puts the target in Oblivion state for 3 turns. Also now breaks their defense, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown when max skilled. So That's awesome. It's single target, but that is really good. Not only are you going to put it in Oblivion for 3 turns, not just 2 like Tessarion, but 3, makes it in RTA. You can't just violent proc out of Oblivion right away. You're guaranteed to be in Oblivion for a little while. But now you also defense break it and make it a much easier to kill. So if you want to dispatch of, say, an Artemis or a Ragdoll, putting the defense break on that unit while disabling its passive ability is going to make it a much easier to burn that target down before that Oblivion wears off. And because you're pushing the attack bar back by 50%, even if you don't get the kill on that enemy, as long as it doesn't obviously violent proc or get some other type of boost, given some variable speeds, you will be able to have your cooldown up and ready before that monster is out of Oblivion state as well to reapply it. So actually really strong unit, you guys. Let's see what we've got next. I'm kind of excited to see what we get for Gargoyles. Hopefully they're really good. All right, Gargoyles. So all Gargoyles, Stone Claws, effect added, stuns the enemy for 1 turn with a 30% chance. So their skill 1 has a 30% stun on it. Really strong. Really good to have a stun, a 30% stun on a skill 1. So that's given to all of them, and given the rest of their kits, we'll see. So Fire and Dark, Destructive Claws, effect added, provokes for 1 turn. Really feeds well with that stun, and the provoke really feeds well into what the Gargoyles are kind of designed to do inherently. So Water Gargoyle, Statue of Robust, passive activation condition ease. So if your turn ends with less than 30% now, less than 50% HP, you will be turned into a statue. Okay, that's considerably better and appropriate. Maybe even higher might be necessary, but we will have to wait and see. Wind Gargoyle, Statue of Pain. Increase the reflected damage by 25%. Also eased the passive activation. Decreases your skill cooldown time when you get attacked. Even critical hits don't occur. What? Sometimes the wording that Com2uS writes on things is difficult to read. But decreases your skill cooldown time when you get attacked. Even critical hits don't occur. Or even if critical hits don't occur is what I'm guessing. I think they just missed a word there. That's all. All right. Light Gargoyle, Statue of Trial passive. Effect changed. When increasing the skill cooldown time of the target that attacks you, the cooldown time can exceed the max cooldown time. But it does not apply to the boss. Okay, that is something entirely new in the game. So if you've got a 3-turn cooldown on something and you attack this unit multiple times, you can actually increase your cooldowns beyond 3 turns to like 4 or 5. Actually, sorry, that effect is not unheard of in the game. That is only and is the unique effect of the cooldown reduction stage in the Labyrinth, where every time you use a skill, its max cooldowns goes up by 1. So this effect is kind of similar, except it's on a one-time basis. Once you've used your skill again, you're not all of a sudden at like a 4 or 5 max cooldown instead of 3. You're going to be back to 3 unless you attack this target again. So that is actually really fun. I don't know if we're going to see too much else, a whole lot more use out of him than what we saw already, but it'll be interesting to see. Magical Archers. All right, ooh, this is the end. I don't like. Okay, I don't want to jump ahead yet. Magical Archer, Fire, Water, Dark, Wedge Arrow, increased damage by 10%. Okay. Magical Archer, Fami. So she was the unique one that almost nobody will have in the game. That's in the monster collection. The light one. There's 2 light ones. She is the unique one that was available through some special promotion, like right around the time the game launched, or very early in the game or something. So unlikely that any of us will have that unit or will ever have that unit, because I don't think it's going to be given out again. However, its damage was also increased by 10%. Magical Archer Wind, Keenness passive. Increase the amount of critical damage that increases accordingly to how much HP you've lost. Okay, that's interesting. She also does damage based on how many debuffs are on the enemies. She was actually a pretty good damage dealer in R5 previously, so this will actually help her to do even more damage. It might actually push her over the top in some areas, possibly in Water Rift Beast as well, you guys. Magical Archer Light critical arrow effect added after attacking. Recovers a turn instantly if the enemy is not stunned. Okay, that's pretty cool. If you don't stun the enemy, you get another turn. Very good. Fami, the other light magical archer, same deal. It's the exact same monster stats and skill-wise, I do believe, just a different skin and name for it. Maybe one day they'll release it as a transmog. I don't know. Then people can pseudo have it, just not in their Pokedex. Magical Archer Dark Shadow Arrow effect added. Increases the chance of ignoring defense by 15% for each harmful effect granted on the enemy. Okay. So I think Bethany definitely needed that. I did pull her on my main a little while ago. I think I did, but I don't use her at all because her damage was just so inconsistent. So having the ability to have some kind of control over if that ignored defense is going to be applied or not, I think is nice. But at 15% feels like it's too little, and it's going to require a lot of setup to make her reliable still. When there are plenty of other units out there that don't require any setup at all. Kali, for example, even Odin, who just kind of needs buffs. There's a lot of units out there, Covenant as well, that already ignore enemies' defense on their single target skills. And if you don't have those, maybe you got Lucian, who does it on an AoE scale, ignores everybody's defense. So we'll see. We'll have to see how that kind of plays out. All right. The awakening effect of some monsters will be changed. So Fire Panda Warrior. So instead of increasing resistance, so he doesn't awaken into resistance anymore. Now it's Strength and Calm Mind Skill. Calm Mind Skill strengthened effect removes all harmful effects granted on yourself. Now it removes harmful effects granted on all allies. So for people looking to get into R5, Fire Panda Warrior is one of the best starting units you can have for a starting R5 team. Now, he just got so much better for that. So much better. Now you don't need to bring another cleanser. You might rune this guy a little bit differently, make him a little bit faster so that he can cleanse more often. But that's a skill that's already on a pretty low cooldown. It's a skill 2. And he brings a lot of other stuff to the table, including the ability to be a frontline tank and apply crazy debuffs. So now you can bring in like another damage dealer instead of having, say, Lisa or Annabelle or whoever your cleanser might have been on your team previously. This is huge. This is actually huge to help players get into R5 earlier in the game. I think this makes that so much more accessible. That is a huge change. And not to mention, Fire Panda Warrior is actually pretty decent in Guild War and Siege as well. A lot of people that don't have Feng Yan actually use Shang Fei instead. And he is a very, very viable replacement. This actually makes him extremely viable, I think, in there as well. Built correctly. I think he could be really, really strong in Guild War Siege. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him at least being played around with over the next few weeks on some Siege defenses. Dark Anubis, the Bay. This dude needs a buff too. Alright. Awakening effect modification. So instead of Strengthen Pierce Soul skill, now Strengthen Soul Devourer skill. Skill Strengthened effect recovers your HP by 50% of the damage dealt. Recovers the HP of all allies, including yourself, by 30% of the damage dealt. Okay. So a little bit of AoE team healing based on how much damage he does with his big nuke. Okay, I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. We'll have to see if that's I don't think it's a big enough change to all of a sudden make him super viable and amazing, but not bad. Wind Anubis. So again, instead of the strengthen pure soul skill, we now strengthen brand of hell skill. Brand of hell skill strengthened effect grants oblivion effect for 2 turns with a 50% chance with each attack. So now he not only applies a brand, but he applies an oblivion as well. We have a 4th oblivion unit in Summoner's War, you guys. It only took 6 years. That's not even 1 per year, but it's 2020. And we just got our 4th Oblivion unit. Wind Anubis, who's actually not a bad unit to use. He's really, really good damage dealer in Tartarus Hell before the minis go down. I know he's a big part of that comp to deal with that, but... Okay, I'm excited. I do want to build him. I was already starting to, but now I kind of want to finish him off. Wind Mermaid, strength and air shield skill now increases attack speed by 15 instead. So the base attack speed of Wind Mermaid just went up by 15. That combined with what we see earlier here, her air shield also now... Okay. Wind Mermaid just got like really good, you guys. I think Wind Mermaid just got really good. Let's go take a quick peek at this unit here. So her awakening effect, so now she's gonna have 110 base speed for her awakened version. Okay. And her crushed hopes attacks the enemy target 3 times to remove the beneficial effect with the first attack. Decreases the defense for 2 turns and increases the skill cooldowns by 2 turns with a 50% chance each. Now it's 80% chance, plus she gains an additional 20% activation chance in skill ups. On a 3-turn cooldown, this is going to have 100% activation. That is huge. Absolutely huge. Combined with the 15 base speed increase, so a 110 base speed unit, which is really, really strong. And she's got air shield that now grants a shield based on... Wait. Effects on an ally target and cast a shield, which is equivalent to 20% of your max HP for 3 turns. Isn't... What did we just read? I thought that was the change. Am I... What are we doing here? What are we doing? Wind Mermaid, air shield. Shield amount is proportionate to the level of the monster that uses the skill. Max HP of the monster that uses the skill. This patch isn't out yet. Okay, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there, but I'm missing something or they're missing something. Alright. Zehra 2. Zehra 2's awakening no longer awakens into resistance, awakens into 15% critical rate. I mean, very strong, but very necessary. I don't think the 25% resistance awakening did any good on Zehra 2. 15% extra crit rate, that's pretty huge. That is pretty huge. That's going to make the runing a little bit easier on him and a little bit more attack and crit damage or speed focused. Zehra 2's just got a whole lot stronger too. Alright, leader skill of some monsters will be changed. So Wind Ifrit. Nice to see a little bit of update on the Ifrits. Increases the accuracy of ally monsters by 41%. Not anymore. Now increases the attack speed of ally monsters by 24%. We just got a new AoE cleave unit, you guys. We just got a new AoE cleave unit. 24% attack speed makes this so much more relevant. So much more relevant. You're going to see so many more Amirs, I think, hitting the battlefields in the coming weeks. Okay, and it's a global attack speed. Good in any content. It's not restricted to arena or guild content or dungeons. It's any content. Now, I will say, I'm very, very sad, disappointed even, that we're not seeing Beast Monk's leader skills. I know I said I don't have any except a Ritesh on my alt account. That's not even awakened yet anyway. But I'm sad that we're not seeing their leader skills changed from dungeons to guild content. It baffles my mind that this hasn't been done yet. If that leader skill is basically dead, you may as well just delete it as it is from the unit and pretend that they just don't even have one. Because nobody uses a Beast Monk in dungeons. They serve zero purpose there. Alright, skill errors of some monsters will be resolved. So Fire Beast Monk, Crushing Blow Awaken, Fiction issue of the monster not receiving the vampire effect from vampire runes or vampire effect. Okay, cool. Dark Martial Cat, Miho, Second Awaken, Eye for an Eye passive, fixed an issue of the passive not activating under certain situations. Oh yes, that's what we needed. I'm not even disappointed. I'm actually kind of pissed off that Miho is not in this balance patch to get nerfed. They nerfed Leica years ago because he was too strong. Miho does everything that Leica did and more, and is harder to kill. I'm actually kind of pissed she's not in here to be nerfed, along with a few other things too that I'm really surprised didn't get touched. But anyway, Fire String Master, fix an issue of the monster, not recover, blah, 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 blah. All Gargoyles, fix an issue of all inability effects disappearing on the next turn, even if the monster is under inability effect for 2 turns and such. Okay. Druid, Fire, Wild Roar, fix an issue of the provoke effect remaining on the enemy target when the monster used skills in Druid form and died from the reflected damage. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing. Light Druid, Rage of Mother Nature, fiction issue to provoke, same deal. Water Dryad, fiction issue of granting Oblivion effect even if the attack lands as a glancing hit. Okay, kind of lame. I would really like to see, you know, Leo get his inability to glance back. But anyways, that's pretty much... yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest are just kind of little bugs that we don't really pay attention to, or monsters we don't really pay attention to. So, all in all, you guys, they did some great changes here. Okay, they did some really, really good changes. I think the Dryad changes are huge. Okay, the Gargoyle changes are very interesting. Sniper changes are meh. Mermaid changes are strong. Water Joker is very strong. Some of the Awakening changes are super, super strong. I think those might be some of the strongest things. Obviously, it's nice to see Beast Riders get a little bit of a nerf, even if it's not huge. But I think the fact that they're going to retain any harmful or beneficial effects when they dismount, that is actually pretty big. So we got a couple of LD5s getting some much needed buffs. Shiho got a really weird buff. Monkey Kings got touched. They got a nice buff, but I don't know if it's going to be enough buff. Water Demon was meh. Beast Monks are actually pretty surprising too. So all in all, we saw some pretty good stuff here. I am, like I say, actually pretty upset that we didn't get to see Miho getting a nerf, among several other things. But like that unit is so incredibly... the fact that she counters a mechanic that you can, or a stat that you cannot get rid of in the game. Granted, I mean, we did get a 4th Oblivion unit, so who knows, maybe, and Water Dryad got a buff, so maybe we'll see more Oblivions coming out now. But I don't think that's enough. I don't think it's right that they nerf a unit that does what she did but less, and then leave her alone and think she's fine. And to me, that I don't understand the logic there. But anyways, thank you, Comtuous. This is all in all, I like what you've done. I just wish there was more. Expectations were really, really high for this balance patch, and I don't think they were quite met, if I'm being entirely honest. But it's not doo-doo, at least, you know. The changes they made are good. So anyways, you guys, let me know what you guys think down below in the video. I'm sorry this went on way longer than I expected. Please be sure to drop a like and a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Happy summoning.